What's going on, you guys? Jeff here with Burly Fishing, and we are talking how to rig it and how to fish it. March 2022, the MB National Box Edition. That's right, we're unpacking the National Box for this month. This is our $25.99 box. It's slightly less expensive as compared to the regional box. You get a couple less baits, but for $25.99, you're getting ultimately $40+ in value. So we're gonna dive into this box today. I wanna show you the baits that are in it first, and then we're gonna go ahead and talk about how we're gonna rig it, how we're gonna fish it, and I gotta tell you guys, it's getting close to real spring here. No more of this fool spring, second, third, fourth mud winter nonsense here in Michigan. So I am pumped to get out there and fish these baits, and I hope you guys are as well. So let's get into it. Of course, if you guys like the content, be sure to subscribe, smash a like, ring that notification bell, all that good stuff. And if you have an extra 2.8 seconds in your life, head on over to Burly Fishing, throw us a subscribe as well. Check out some of our videos. I appreciate you guys for considering doing so. Let's see what was in this national box. Okay, so in the regional box, you're typically getting 8 things, be they baits, plastic, hooks, etc. You're getting about 8 things in there. In the national box, you're getting about 6. So let's run through what we got. Again, keeping in mind the total cost of the box is $25.99. You should expect a $40+ value in it. Let's take a look-see. Right off the bat, we've got a nice small jerkbait. This is like my favorite thing to throw in the spring. This is a Bait Lab jerkbait. I do have some experience throwing these things. This is called the Pig Pounder Junior. You got 2 treble hooks on there, chartreuse belly, little black and white splatter. This is the perfect color. If you have like stained to clear water, you're gonna bang them out on this thing. I love it. Next up, one of our favorite things to throw here on Burly Fishing is the Ned rig, and the Ned Zone is definitely no stranger to the Ned rig. This X Zone bait is fantastic. I love this color too, green pumpkin purple. Rig it up and get you guys a closer look here in a second. We got the Cut R worm here from Rage Tail. This thing is an absolute menace when it comes to slaying dang hogs. And color-wise, we got Blue Craw Red Flake, which I guess should be a staple because that's a juicy freaking looking color. Talk about that. We got the Thunderhawk. I've thrown this thing around a bit actually. I've gotten it previously, but I do like it. Little finesse paddle tail. Definitely a juicy option in green pumpkin. We got Mustad EWG hooks, only the best. And then we've got the Yozuri One Knock lipless bait. Liplesses are also fantastic in spring. So let's unbox these things, rig them up. Let's talk about fishing them. All right, so let's start out with the easy baits here, the hard baits. We don't have to rig them. They're already rigged. So let's talk about how we fish them. First up, we got the Bait Lab Pig Pounder Junior. This little jerkbait should have some nice erratic action. You got a nice little lip there, pretty narrowly tapered. So you should have like kind of a tight twitch to it, which I like, a little subtle action. Love the splatter pattern to that. That's really cool. And you got like this black and white and chartreuse belly giving off, you know, some good bait fish vibes. You've also got some decent trebles here hooked up below, not too big, not oversized for this thing, so you shouldn't have any issues with that. You're gonna wanna run fluorocarbon as a leader. If not, your whole spool will be fluorocarbon when you're throwing jerk baits. This is a subtle action type deal. And this bait right here is a floating bait with a decent rattle to it. So what I like to do, sharp hooks there. What I like to do with a floating jerkbait is a nice like twitch pause. On that pause, it's gonna float up a little bit and then I'll go right back to that twitch. So depending on how fast this floats, I'm not exactly sure. I need to get it in the water to really find out. That's gonna vary the cadence that I actually use with these fish. Plus, if the fish are more lethargic, I'm gonna wanna pause as long as I possibly can. And oftentimes you're getting struck on that float up, just this little thing right here. They're like, what is this bait fish doing? And I actually saw this on, you know, on underwater cameras and on my Vexilar during ice fishing season. This is what fish do. As you draw the bait away from them, they're curious naturally, so they just kind of like follow it up. And depending on how this jerk bait sits, you kind of got this treble right off the back. They come in to check it out. They don't have hands. They use their mouth. They're gonna come bite it, and then they get hooked up. So twitch, pause, my favorite way to go. Also, generally I'm throwing my jerkbaits, the 2 treble ones especially, on finesse gear. So I'm talking spinning rod and reel, probably a medium light, and I like a good like 7-foot spinning rod. This thing's not light. It's got a little heft to it. Package says 11.5 grams. Survey says, you guys Google it, figure out what that conversion is, whatever. It's got enough weight, a little heft, that we can cast it up over them there mountains and have a nice long twitch pause travel path back to the boat or back to the bank, giving you plenty of area to cover to hopefully find some fish. Again, fluorocarbon leader, I like to go braid on the spool. So like my braid backer would be an 8-pound to a 6-pound test or a 4-pound test. Next up, we've got that 1-knock Yozuri. This is in a gold shiner color. I love these like natural patterns during the spring and the fall actually. I get a little more crazy in the summer here in Michigan. Again, that's my home water. That's where I'm fishing. You guys might be a little bit different, but that 1-knock, that's that heavy thud. With a lipless bait, I love to huck them out there and just yo-yo it back to the boat. Often you're either getting struck on that lift up where it's vibing really hard. And from my experience with these Yozuris, with the ones I've used in the past, they've got a really good vibing action on the way up. Or you're gonna get struck on the way down as it just sort of like flutters down and falls like a dying bait fish. So you got, you know, a 1-2 punch there, which is really effective. And this knock is gonna drive those fish freaking nuts. With treble baits like this or my heavier, bigger jerk baits, I wanna throw it on a medium powered bait casting setup. And I'm looking for something more like a moderate to slow action. So moderate to slow action just means the bend of the rod is further down the blank of the rod. So it gives you more fighting power with the fish without letting the fish really like play you back. So fast action is great for hook sets. Slow and moderate action is great for treble baits because it makes it more difficult for the fish to shake those hooks. Line-wise, again, with spring, I'm working more clear to stained water, so I'm going braid backer to fluorocarbon leader. Baitcaster setups on baits like that, I'm probably going 20-pound to 10-pound test. Usually go a 2-to-1 ratio from braid to fluoro, if that helps for you guys as well. And the jerkbait setup that I'm rocking right now is a Shimano SLX DC reel at a slower gear ratio, and the rod I'm throwing it on is a 7/6 cranking rod from Akuma. That's the Guide Select series. One more already rigged and done for you right here. I'm throwing this on that finesse setup that I spoke about with the jerkbait, and I'll probably be doing the same for the Ned rig too. So this is the Thunderhawk Hybrid Diver. This thing is green pumpkin, 3/8 of an ounce. You've got this nice designed jig head with replaceable plastics, as you can see there. It does come with another jig and a pre-rigged, as well as a spare paddle tail. So you can swap these babies out. I like the way that they sit super flush up to the jig head. That's really nice. And the tapered design of that jig head means you can get through cover pretty easily. It is open to hook, so you do need to watch out for like trees. But getting through rocks and light cover, this thing's gonna do pretty darn well. You don't gotta worry about it too much. It's gonna have a nice subtle action with that tail, and springtime, like this is kind of the perfect bait to be throwing. So again, I'll throw this on that spinning rig setup, the same one I did for the Bait Lab jerk bait. And this is a type of bait that I'll love to straight retrieve for a little bit. I'll kind of like fan cast around a few spots as a search bait. Because of the size, because of the subtlety of the action, the finessey nature of it, I think I can get bit doing that. If not, if that doesn't work after say like 10 minutes or 10 casts or whatever, then I'm gonna start doing like a lift and drop method. And I do this with Ned rigs too. So I'll pick this thing up, it kind of paddle tails on the way up, and then I'll let it fall down and it paddle tails on the way down. From there, I might hop it on the bottom a few times, pretending it's a Ned rig essentially, and then do the same thing, that lift and retrieve. And often I'm getting bit on that if the search and destroy method doesn't work. Okay, last two baits in the box. We've got the Ned Zone. So here's a closer look at that green pumpkin purple. That purple flake is just standing out so good. So this should really look to the fish, kind of like a goby or bait fish of some sort. It's gonna get that subtle flash. If you guys have smallmouth in your area, purple baby. Purple always works for the smallies. When in doubt, throw that purple out, or chartreuse, or both together. So here we go. We're just gonna rig this up on a Z-Man Ned Locks, one of my favorite EWG hooks. This one is a 1/6 ounce, which is more like power finessey, I know, but that's how I like to fish Ned rigs personally. So you just rig it on up. It's gonna get stuck behind that little bait keeper there, which is perfect. And we just roll that bait up, stick on through all the way, and I just like to text pose the hook. So we'll just kind of bury that back down. Gives you a pretty darn straight presentation there, and that's gonna look real nice on the bottom. Nice thing about the Ned Zone is this thicker, call it the bulbous tip. This bulbous tip here is gonna have a ton of action on the bottom, draws in a lot of bites, and this natural presentation, again, perfect in like spring runoff if you've got clear to stained water. Same setup as the Bait Lab as the Hybrid Diver. It's still my spinning go-to setup. It's a medium light, and I like to just hop these things on the bottom. Kind of like hop, hop, pause, and that's when I'll get my bites drawn out. I'm also throwing it on an EWG so I can put it into thicker cover. If you guys aren't putting Ned rigs in thick cover, you're missing out. See wood, pitch to wood. That's what my friend Debo always says. So zing it on out there, near, in, around that cover. If you've got an EWG Ned head, you're gonna be able to get through it and you're guaranteed to get a fish. All right, last up, we got that Strike King Rage Tail Cut R Worm. We got our Mustad EWGs. I think you guys know what's next. This is a pretty easy one. Throw this on a heavier setup, like a medium heavy bait casting rig. I like to have a mid-range gear ratio, like a 7:3 to 1 on the reel. We're going braid, of course, on this one. You could go full braid, or you could throw on a stronger fluorocarbon leader. Sometimes I'll do that in the spring and fall, especially if they're being finicky, those silly, silly bass. You can rig this however you want. I don't think it matters that much, but you can see that this tail has like a singular orientation. So think of it this way. You can make a choice here. You're gonna wanna have the tail in this orientation, same as the hook. Right? We don't really want to like have it sideways. I mean, I guess, again, you could. Maybe this doesn't matter at all. Just how I play it out in my head. So I can have the tail in this orientation, or I can have the tail in this orientation. And that's the part that I don't think matters. So for me, when I'm Texas rigging, I think of this as the bottom. Like this is where the weight is going to hit. The hook is going to be in this orientation here. I tend to want to have that tail looking like this if it's coming up off the bottom. So we'll start with the tail the direction that I want it to go. Put our hook in the top, come through about a 1/4 inch down, slide it all the way up, and that's where it rotates and puts the tail in that direction that I wanted. There you go, right there. From here, you can bury the hook, you can Texpose the hook. I mean, it's your choice. It depends on if you're still getting snagged on cover, if it doesn't look straight enough for you, like whatever you want to do. So there we go, got the hook there, and then we can bury it in to the plastic, still getting a good straight presentation, and that's how it's gonna look right there. Love this for Texas rigging. This is a good size too. So we got a 7-pack of 6 inchers, right? They're all 6 inches long. You get the added action from this. These things are cool because, I mean, you can speed worm it, you can swim the thing, you can lift and drop it, and I'll do like an extra high lift to give that tail some action, and then some added action on the fall back down. And this is what I'd be throwing. I'd kind of have it rigged up to the side of me. I probably start with more finesse in the spring, especially with the colder water temps. But if I'm not getting bit, man, it's like go small or go big. There's not really any in between. So then I'll have something like this rigged up so I can be like, all right, are they looking for a buffet? I'll just cast this baby out there. I like that a lot. Again, heavier rig. Go with like your 30-pound test braid. You can get away with 20, but if I'm trying to winch a fish out of some cover, I want 30 plus. And then again, if I have to have fluorocarbon leader, I'll do that. Rig wise for me, I've got a few options. I love throwing it on my Lose Tournament MP. I'll also rig this up maybe on a Komodo SS reel from Akuma. And again, it's that 7:3 to 1 gear ratio. Rod wise, I like a 7.3 to a 7.6 for Texas rigging and flipping. I've used the Tournament Concept from Akuma, fantastic, love that rod. But for me, nothing really beats the St. Croix Bass X. Affordable rod, awesome for flipping cover. I love that thing, so there you go. Gives you guys some options. There you guys go, that is our how to rig it, how to fish it, national box. If you guys got the regional box, you'll probably see some of these baits in there, as well as a few added cool bonuses, because again, you get 8 baits in that box versus a 6 in this one. Hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. If it was, be sure to subscribe to the channel, smash a like, ring that notification bell, and if you get an extra 2.8 seconds, go over to Burly Fishing, drop us a subscribe as well, and then come hang out with both Monster Bass and Burly Fishing every Thursday night. That's when we all go live. They go live an hour before us. We'll be on 8 p.m. Eastern if you want to join us. Love to see you there and talk to you in chat. That's all we got for you guys today. We'll see you on the next video.